Welcome to the virtual Stab Comedy Theater. It's time for the Suzette Veneti Show. Please welcome to your screen, Suzette Veneti.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Suzette Veneti Show. It's 5:03 on January 24th. It's a Sunday, so if you have any plans on Valentine's Day, start planning now, because, whoops, that happens. See, things happen in life, and you have to be prepared, which is why you have to start planning now for Valentine's Day, because you might spill a glass of water or a bottle. Anyway, welcome to Suzette Veneti Show, the only show where the host didn't get mascara on her nose this week. Let's start the show. A somber goodbye to Larry King and Hank Aaron, both icons and legends in their fields. No jokes, just respect. Also, if you're local to Sacramento, just a word of advice if you live in Midtown, there's a peeping Tom going around. Again, no jokes, just a word of warning. Just trying to help other girls out. Last week before the inauguration, a Connecticut woman, Linda McGovern, 63 years old, attempted to drive through a checkpoint that was manned by National Guardsmen. Miss McGovern was asked by the Guardsmen who she was and why she falsely identified herself as a member of Trump's cabinet. She did. She said, "I'm a member of the president's cabinet." The Guardsmen calmly explained that just because Mrs. McGovern doesn't know who's in the cabinet, who at the time, he did know, and he knew that she wasn't in the cabinet. And she responded, "Well, I don't think Trump knows who's in his cabinet either." And then she was arrested. 4 men in North Carolina were pulled over for speeding, and a dead body was discovered in their trunk. Now, no one should murder anyone. Also, you shouldn't speed if you do murder someone and put their dead body in your trunk. It's a great way to get caught. Still, not as good a way to get caught as committing, I don't know, a crime like making an Instagram story and posting the videos to your Facebook while you participate in a domestic terrorist attack on the Capitol. Hey, Trumpers, you're dumber than 4 dudes with a dead body in the back of their trunk speeding down the highway. Oregon police are searching for a man who stole a car last week, realized that there was a 4-year-old child in the back seat, returned the car to give the child back to the mother, and kept the car and drove away. The mother of the 4-year-old left the car running and left the child in the car while she ran into the market to get some meat and some milk. Leaving your car or your kid in the car while you shop is not kosher. Also, it's a smooth joke if you get it. Anyhow, police and the mother apparently are grateful for the thief returning the child. I don't know. I think he should get to keep the car, is just what I wanted to say from reading that. He returned the kid. The mom left the kid in the car. He gets the car now. That's how that works. I don't have a joke for this, but Mike Pence handed Lady Gaga a microphone for the inauguration, and that would have been the meme that everyone loved, except the Bernie memes took off. But Mike Pence, a clearly closeted man, got to hand something to Lady Gaga. So I think his life is made now, whether or not he tells us. In stupid rich white people news this week, TikTok star Jonathan Cook recorded himself faking going to sleep in his Tesla while autopilot was engaged. As Tesla, who really needs to rename that feature, has pointed out continuously, the feature is merely to help with lane assist, cruise control, and controlled braking, and not to be used as an actual self-driving vehicle. Cook made sure to film himself while he intentionally broke the law. Still, not as dumb as speeding with a dead body in the trunk, and definitely not as dumb as live streaming your participation in a deadly insurrection on the U.S. Congress. Cook's mother also sat in the car and helped film the video for her rich-ass son. I'm not sure if that's worse than the Oregon mom who left her kid in the car and shopped for groceries, or better. But moms. Hippopotamus infestation is plaguing Colombia, and scientists say the only way to deal with it is to cull the herd. Pablo Escobar, former drug lord and hungry enthusiast, had 4 pet hippos, and when he was shot dead in 1993, those hippos escaped, and they've bred uncontrollably since then. Apparently, Escobar was the caretaker? I don't know. Anyhow, scientists point out that since there are no natural predators for the hippo in Colombia, the only way they can stop the infestation is to kill most of them. Anyhow, they're being referred to as the cocaine hippos, for obvious reasons, which is funny, because that's what I screamed last week as in, holy crap, all these cocaine hippos in Trump's cabinet are resigning before his term is over. Joe Exotic and his team were so sure that he was going to get a pardon from Trump on Trump's way out that a limousine, okay, really quick, this limousine calling it a limousine is a polite word. It was a 38-foot stretched Dodge Ram with gull-wing doors. Yeehaw. Anyway, Joe Exotic and his team were so sure that he was getting out and getting a pardon from Trump that the limo had stylists and makeup artists waiting in it for the reality star to get out of prison and on a pardon that never came. When it didn't come, Exotic said he was too gay for Trump to pardon. Okay, Mr. Exotic, Trump pardoned 237 criminals during his time in the Oval Office, so let's not be 1960 about this. Percentage-wise, there's got to be some gays in 237 people. They can't all be straight. Also, Trump pardoned mostly people who committed fraud and public corruption. So you had to pay for it in the final days. He was also taking solicitations. So you just didn't pay enough is all. You had to pay more, baby. A new discovery by scientists in the of a 50 million-year-old fossil of an assassin bug, an ancient insect, features well-preserved phallus the size of a grain of rice, said scientists. And I was like, damn, scientists, why you got to put his business out like that? Phallus the size of a grain of rice. Hidden in the HTML code on whitehouse.gov was an invitation to join the U.S. Digital Service, a technology unit within the White House. If you're reading this, this is what it said. If you're reading this, we need your help building back better. This is a huge change from the tweets that come out of the White House, but those were also a clear cry for help. Go Fifi. In one last act of bullying and complete disregard for people while serving as president, Trump blasted YMCA by the Village People at his farewell address. The Village People have repeatedly and continuously asked Trump not to use their music at his events, but he always insists it's Mike Pence's favorite band. How could he say no? Okay. Joe Biden signed numerous executive orders, one of which was, get that damn McDonald's smell out of my carpet. Millions of people, where we go. Okay, millions of people were logged out of Facebook on Friday morning when a configuration error auto-logged out some Facebook users. Those users were so mad about being logged out that they couldn't wait to log back in so they could tell all their friends that they're going to leave Facebook. Someone in Michigan bought the winning ticket for Friday night's huge lottery prize of over $1 billion. Now that is money that could have bought a pardon from Trump. Chrissy Teigen had a big week. She finally got followed by the POTUS Twitter account after being banned by Trump years ago. She also caught flack from the entire internet for saying that even though the Trumps were awful, Melania always slayed the fashion game from her spot as FLOTUS. Look, Chrissy, you know fashion, and you might be right. But also read the room, girl. We're here to compliment all the fashion that we saw on Inauguration Day. From the monochrome outfits of Michelle, Dr. Jill, Kamala, to the bright yellow of Amanda Gorman's Prada outfit, to Lady Gaga's Schiaparelli gown, to Ella Emhoff's collared checkered coat from Italy, to Ashley Biden's tuxedo, to Maisie Biden's J's, and of course, Bernie's mittens. But that's Chrissy Teigen for you. Everyone's sharing Bernie memes, and she's not. And because of that, Joe Biden had to block her from the POTUS account all over again. And with that, let's get to the show. He always brings the tea. It's always hot. Coming on the show, Peers and Queers, help me welcome Clifton Ellison.
Hey, Suzette, how you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
Or should I say, how you doing? Because I'm about to talk about Miss Wendy.
Go on.
So, Lifetime, they have a habit of making movies about B and C-list celebrities. And, she's actually producing her own movie. But her brother had some things to say this week, as I guess allegedly she didn't attend her mother's funeral. And he had some things to say. And then she got a little catty with him on her show. And it was one of those awkward family argument moments on TV that I was just I felt like I was like, am I supposed to be seeing this? Is this did she just out her brother on national television? Because she was like, oh, you know how you like that dress. How are you doing? And I was just like, oh, okay. And speaking of movies, did you watch the Salt and Pepper movie last night?
No. Where?
So they had a Salt and Pepper documentary movie. Well, not documentary movie. It was a biography movie on Lifetime last night. But there was one thing that was missing. And I was watching it and I was like, where's Miss Spinderella? Spinderella was not in the movie at all. She was not talked about, not in it or anything. And so if you go on Twitter, Spinderella is talking about how she was not asked about the movie. She had no hand in the movie. And honestly, I just feel like it's kind of like, I'm going to do like a comparison because, we're kind of the same age range. It's kind of like if they did a Run DMC movie and left out Jam Master Jay.
Yeah, I mean, even Will Smith brought back original Aunt Viv. Like, how are you going to leave out Spinderella?
Yeah, like you can't leave out Spinderella. And, to be such a pioneer in the hip hop game, like if there was no Salt and Pepper, we wouldn't have a lot of the girls that we have today. So, and Spinderella, like from a DJ to another, like that was kind of messed up. So there's going to be some legal things going on, I guess, with that. Now, as far as the inauguration, let me clear my vocal cords real quick. I'm not going to torture on my singing voice. I'm not a singer. At least I know that. And I'm not plugging a single from my 1999 debut album at the inauguration shouting, "Let's get loud!" I was like, Jennifer Lynn Lopez, ma'am, sweetie, fly girl, sis. You already done brought in the year hitting that weird AOL login noise when you tried to sing Dream On. And, your rendition of America the Beautiful, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't spectacular. And it's so funny because someone posted the meme of Bernie Sanders saying, "This is Mariah Carey sitting at home watching this." And I was like,
I think that one was my favorite.
Yeah.
That was my favorite Bernie meme.
But I would say, J-Lo aside, it just felt so nice to have some sense back in that place. It's going to take some time to clean up the mess. It's kind of just like if you work in the food industry, coming in to open after a closing shift that was really horrible. So they're going to have some cleaning up to do. But like my spirit, my vibe, if you notice this bright light in my face, this is my seasonal depression light that I'm also using as a light to, brighten me up for the podcast as well, though. But, my mood has gone up. I'm not drinking as much. I didn't eat no edibles this week. Like, I just felt at ease. Like, I feel like we got out of a really horrible, abusive 4-year relationship. And, we can't be hoeing because of COVID, though. But, we're going to get our groove back eventually as a country. And hopefully, speaking of getting our groove back, how was brunch?
Oh, it was really good. Thank you. It was just the 4 of us. And it was a really good show. The food, the menu's a little bit different, but it was always amazing.
Yeah, y'all sold out. I couldn't get a seat.
Oh, you got to let me know when that happens.
No, but I will. But that's good that y'all sold out, though.
Right? Yeah. I wore 2 rings on my ring finger today, so I could pretend that I'm happily married. And, I'm 3 fireball shots and a shot of Jameson in because people at brunch are nice. So.
Damn. And you made it to the look. Chelsea's like, girl, that's nothing. I can't do dark alcohol. Yes, girl. I made a mistake. I had Hennessy on my 21st birthday, and I thought that I was Paris Hilton and I was doing poses outside of TGI Fridays in 2006. It was right after I got off of work. because I used to work at Starbucks and we closed at like 12 midnight. So it was literally like right when I turned 21. It was like the only place that we could go to. And girl, so I had a shot of Hennessy, and then literally everything I ate came out of my mouth for the next hour and some change. And I can't touch dark alcohol.
But have you tried it since then?
No.
Okay.
Just the thought of it, the smell of it, everything. Nope.
I mean,
I don't touch it.
I'm not gonna make you, but this was quite a while ago, so maybe just try again.
And I think my tolerance has gone up since then, but
I wanted to let you know, this is now back off topic, but Helen did do Let's Get Loud today at brunch.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I did an answer.
I was sitting there. I was like, "There's gonna be a drag queen that's gonna do Let's Get Loud mixed in with America the Beautiful or something."
She just did straight Let's Get Loud.
Okay.
And then I did a Nancy Pelosi number. that was as political as we got.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Like with the inauguration, really, like everything else has kind of taken the back burner. But now that things are starting to get, I mean, we're still got COVID and we're in the middle of a panorama and everything like that, though. But celebrity news has been kind of stale this week. Trying to think who else has been acting up. Oh, over 1,200 people risked their life with no mask to go see Little Bow Wow on the club concert. And the funny thing is that the local paper said thousands risked it in the middle of a pandemic to see a C-list rapper. They didn't even say his name on the headline. They said C-list rapper. And I was just like, yeah, that was...
But he's actually like a decent actor. So, I don't know. I mean, I know he makes money.
Tell me 3 Little Bow Wow songs, quickly.
I don't know one of Bow Wow songs. Oh. Exactly. I did dance today, but I don't know one of Bow Wow's songs. So,
what did you dance to?
Oh, they put on My Prerogative, and then Helen was like, "Dance, dance," because it was during roll call. So I only know how to crip walk. So
okay,
in heels.
Okay, she's getting up there. Mm-hmm. What else has been like I said? It's really been outside of the inauguration. The rest of the world has just been kind of just.
I know, it's like. Everything's peaceful, except for the people who are like, Biden's been in office, why isn't everything fixed? It's like, girl,
don't
give the man 100 days. I think that's usually the measuring stick.
Honestly, but 100 days after coming in after a normal bad president, but this was not a normal bad president. This was a shit show. Like George Bush wasn't even this bad. Like this was.
Oh, I know. Bush is the biggest winner of the Trump presidency. I've never heard so many non-conservatives say, you know what, Bush wasn't that bad. I would take Bush right now.
I mean, granted, yeah, it started a lot of xenophobia against people from the Middle East and things of that nature.
Absolutely.
But this shit, like I said, it's literally like opening after your closer did nothing.
And
it was mad busy.
I hope they saged the White House.
I hope they saged it. Sprayed Fabuloso on everything, played some hymns, had Kurt Franklin come in there and sing, had a seance, had just everything. Like just everything just needs to be just lifted. Lord, lift us up where we belong. Like just.
That's actually why J-Lo sang "This Land Is Our Land." The decibel that her voice gets to, and the tone actually is very. It cleans things. It sanitizes that sound. I
love how you said tone, because
uncomfortable to the ear, but sanitizes surfaces.
Well, girl, Ashanti was in the back of the White House with a microphone, and they had to, plug it and sing it to hers, because that wasn't Jennifer singing. Oh, that's the thing. Speaking of Miss Ashanti, so those things on Instagram where they have like artists kind of battle it out for like their hits.
The verses.
It's called verses.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, like they had one where it was Patti LaBelle and Gladys Knight, which was really fun. Then they had another one where it was like Timbaland and Pharrell. And this one, and Brandy and Monica, but this one was Keisha Cole and Brandy. And I'm not Brandy, Keisha Cole and Ashanti. And it was one of the most, like, girl, is your internet on Metro PCS moments? Because it was just bad. It was bad. First of all, she showed up, and I know you know this, when a drag queen shows up late to a show. And if they show up late to a show with the attitude, it's already just not going to be good. So she showed up late. The show was supposed to start at 5 o'clock. The show didn't start at like 6:05. And you're literally like, so it's on Instagram Live. Have you ever seen on Instagram Live when two people are talking, so it's like a split screen?
I hate it.
And Ashanti's literally just sitting there, sipping her cocktail. In the bottom screen, you just see an empty chair. It looks like a chair just posted like this, where Keisha Cole's supposed to be. And then she comes in there and she just has this whole stank attitude. And then the DJ's fucking up the music, tracks are skipping and everything like that. And I was like, this is very amateur hour. Like, it was very like my first drag show for everybody. And and like, I just, because, that's from my era. That's from my high school and my early college years. And a lot of those songs were very like, I hate you, don't touch me, I should have cheated kind of songs. Those hood rat love songs, but
ahead of their time with Don't Touch Me.
Ahead of their time, yeah. But it was just, it was very sad.
Did you see Katy Perry's performance?
Loved it. And the fireworks and everything, and just... I'm not an emotional person. Well, who am I playing? I am. But that performance...
Did you see Chelsea looking at you, by the way? Because she shot you.
Yeah, she looked at me. She's like, bitch, stop lying. But I cried. And I also cried when Vice President Harris sworn in, too, because I was just like, I just thought of all of the little girls that are seeing this, and they're just like, you know what? I can do it now. It was a magical moment, and I feel like it was like a movie when the villain finally goes away and the Power Rangers come back with their matching masks, because it felt like everybody had like the coordinated mask and the gloves and everything like that. And girl, you know who killed it? You know who brought it that day?
Who brought it?
Yeah, Michelle.
Always.
She walked in there, hair laid, that belt right here, and that whole jumpsuit. And what I loved was it was very regal. Everybody was just, it felt like you were looking at American royalty, because you see Michelle, then you see Dr. Biden, and then you see Vice President Harris. And it was just like, it was just, I was fangirling. And I'm not really a political person, but to see the change from what we had in 2017 was just like, it was a very blessed moment. I cried.
I don't wake up, everyone knows I don't wake up early unless I'm hosting brunch. And then I usually don't go to sleep. But I rolled over that morning and it was like, I don't know, 8 something, whatever it was. And I was like, oh, I need to see Vice President Harris get sworn in. And I turned it on and I was in time for it. And then I think I was on Instagram when Biden got sworn in. I just wanted to see Vice President Harris get sworn in.
Yeah, it warmed my heart. And I'm excited to see what comes, because, I see that he's got a lot of good things coming for the LGBTQ community, and also they're working on COVID things. And, I have faith that we will be at a space to where possibly we can be all together in a studio or at the comedy club or whatever like that, and doing this all together eventually. So,
and you've never been here. It'll be your first time.
I've never been there. Honestly, in my mind, I feel like you're at some mystical place that I don't know. That's Lair.
We used to do drag shows here, right?
And Because I thought your drag shows were always at the other place that we used to have the brunch at.
Oh, some of them. But so here we used to do the one for the under 21 queens, Fierce, Fresh, and Fabulous. And Yaya and Helen and I would host. And then we'd have the under 21 queen because they can come in because there's no age limit because this is a comedy theater. So they could perform. Yeah.
Is that the one off of Broadway?
Yep. Right next to Queen of Sheba.
Oh, okay. Now I'm putting, it's nice to put a location to the name because I was always wondering, I was like, where is it at? Like,
well, soon enough we'll be able to be together and do the show, and I'll like that. I'll enjoy that.
Oh, I can't wait. I will see you next week, Suzette.
I'll see you next week. And if you need me to get you tickets so you can get them, let me know.
Oh yes, I'm gonna let you know because I was sad I couldn't get a seat, but I was happy that you guys sold out. It was like a mixed emotion, just like
bittersweet.
Then I was just like, oh, okay, bitch, y'all sold out that quick.
We try. I'll see you next week, love.
I see you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Peers and Queers, Clifton Ellison. Send him some coin. Follow him. One of my favorite people and always on the show. And with that, we're going to get to another one of my favorite people. She is busy lately with all that she's doing and making and going viral. Give it up for Chelsea Bearce.
There we go. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
So good. How are you?
I'm all right. Okay, that's a microphone. When it was smaller, I thought you had a wig head with you.
Oh, I know. I was weirded out that it was on camera, and I was like, is this going to be weird? Is this going to be distracting? But it's a microphone. Let's get over it. Let's talk about something else. How are you? Brunch was good? Brunch was okay?
Brunch was good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good. And I hear that you sold out.
Yep.
And that Clifton couldn't make it. He's a VIP. He needs to be in there at all times. Like,
I know.
It should not be a question.
I don't know why he didn't tell me.
Okay.
I would've made it
I'm just
happen.
saying I need to speak for him right now and just because he wouldn't do that. He says he's not emotional. He's emotional. But yes, you need to get him into brunch at every single Sunday.
Absolutely.
And yes, I too. Okay, I understood they inaugurate just to I need to piggyback on him before we get into whatever the fuck I'm going to talk. I don't know what I'm going to talk about, but I'm usually not like a political type person. That's the beautiful thing that Trump's administration did do is that people who are not political or were not like overly like, I don't know shit about politics. I don't talk about politics. But once Trump was in there, it's like, yo, fuck this dude. Like, it was like legit. Like, I care about politics now. You know what I mean? Like, it was that. So I'm like, that's the one plus that I see with, him just throwing our country in the garbage was that now people who didn't care about politics before now give a shit. I think that's a huge win. That's a huge plus.
Hopefully. I mean, hopefully they keep that energy.
Right. I agree with you. So, watching, Harris get sworn in, yes, it was a thing. But for me, it was at the ball, the inauguration ball afterwards. And it was when that female, I remember this, the female football kicker who was and she introduced for the first time, here's Vice President, here, and for some reason, it coming out of her and then Vice President starting to speak, that's when done. I was done. And it was like uncontrollable crying. Like it was not cute. Like it was swollen face crying. And then my 4-year-old son came over to me and that's when it hit me again. It was like, it came in these emotional ass waves of just like, I was looking at him and I was like, he is going to grow up knowing that this is possible for like his whole existence. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's never gonna know a world where this is not the norm. And that hit me like crazy. I was like, oh my God. Right. It was like, that's when it was real to me. Mm-hmm. And I feel like with this inauguration, it became real at different times for people, people were watching it from start to finish. Like the fireworks at the end, they had me too. I was like, why am I crying for this dumbass song that I know that song. I know it. It's not special. But then you throw in the actual fireworks and what they actually mean now. Done. I'm out. Like, I mean, it was ridiculous. It was a beautiful, beautiful day. It was absolutely beautiful. So amazing.
I didn't know that the female kicker introduced her, and when you told me, I got goosebumps.
Yeah. And that's the thing. When she came on the screen, I was like, oh, okay, we're just highlighting dope-ass females who are like, trailblazers and like, breaking that ceiling. And I get it. That's great. Let's do that. But then when she was the one who was like, for the first time ever, I would like to introduce. And I was like, oh my God, here it comes. Like it just, whoo.
Yeah.
Oh man, it was dope. It was dope. So that was a dope ass day. That was pretty dope. And then you asked to talk about this. I wasn't going to talk about this today, but we can talk about this. Okay. Yesterday, you witnessed me doing a lip sync.
I did.
Right. So I was I know, Clifton, tuck it in, bitch. It's coming. Yesterday, I performed in a lip sync battle, okay? Now, you have to understand that my wheelhouse is theater, musical theater. I'm a karaoke award-winning singer. It's a thing, y'all. It's a thing. But when it comes to lip syncing, that's a different animal, okay? That's a different animal. Because I look at lip syncing like I look at sketch comedy, okay? Like in sketch comedy, you have a very short amount of time to make a joke and then make it better and then make it the best and then get the fuck off stage. That's sketch comedy to me. Like you just like, boom, boom, punch you in the face and I'm out, So that's what you got to do with lip syncs to me, is you got to set the tone, make them laugh again, and then when they can't handle it again, give them something, just punch them in the dick and then bounce. That's it. That's what you got to do. So I did that yesterday, okay? I did that yesterday, and I lip sync to Poker Face by Lady Gaga, okay?
Great choice.
Because I had all this poker shit because I was hosting a bingo night the day before. So I was like, well, I'm going to get 2 uses out of this shit, that's for sure. Like, so that's what I did. Like I had, bingo balls everywhere. I had like decals from Party City of, I had the poker shit, all this poker shit, right? And so I did that. And it was like, but every verse I introduced a new element. It was like, now you get to see me in my wig and me with the shit hanging off my ceiling. And now you get to see me do like money and do the da-da-da-da-da. And then it was just like, ba, 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 ba. And then the fucking kicker, okay? You ready to get punched in the dick? The kicker was I have edible money because I'm a baker. And so I have all this edible shit. So I had edible money. And while I was doing this, I grabbed the edible money and I started eating it like a monster, right? And so they were like, well, she's eating money. And it looked like I was legit eating money. It was rice paper, y'all. Like I wasn't really eating money. But I did that. And so that's what amped it up. And then the song was over and I walked off the stage. And then I went and grabbed an award that I already have in my house, right? Because I knew I was going to win. I grabbed an award, and then they were like, Chelsea wins, and I was like, thank you. I'd like to thank da-da-da. It was an asshole thing to do, but I accept it. And I'm an asshole. It's fine. Go ahead. It's your show. Go.
Well, I was going to tell Clifton because he's still in the green room. The guests can't see him. They had 2 straight men hosting this show, this lip sync battle.
Okay. He can't talk to you. So, I mean, it's like
I know, I just
you're
opening
up a conversation. He can't talk to you right now. It's my segment. But the reason they have 2 straight men doing it is because it's comedians doing a lip sync. It's not drag queens doing a lip sync. Now, if they were drag queens doing the lip sync and they had 2 straight men, trust that I would have something to say about this, okay? But since it was comedians doing a lip sync, it's only fitting that we get Clifton, stop messaging the group. I can't read it and talk shit at the same time. So just because like it was comedians doing it, that's why they had comedians hosting it. And that's fine with me because I think that the hosts were absolutely adorable, but I think
They
that
were.
everyone's adorable
But
right
I
now.
watched this show with one of my drag queen friends. She's been on the show, Faye Menon, and she was like, "What? No. Who are they? Where are the drag queens? Why don't?" And I was like, "Honey, it wouldn't be like Chelsea basically is the drag queen of the show, and she's gonna win.
Right.
And then it wouldn't be fair to the other people who have never done this.
Right. And I was texting my friend. I was texting Miles through this whole thing, right? And I was texting him through the whole thing. And I was like, look at, like, people have upped their game. They've upped their game. Because I was the reigning lip sync champion for this organization. Because I won it back in September, I think it was. In September, I won it. And then they were like, that was really fun. We should do it again. Fuck it. Let's do it in January. So I signed up again. So I was the reigning one. And then as people are doing it, I was like, Miles, are you seeing this? And I'm texting him and he goes, this is your fault. You brought the heat so much last time that people saw that and they were like, yo, we got to do some shit. People were taking their clothes off. People were just like, let me just get naked. Like they thought, and I was like, that's a thing, but you lose the joke so fast. And where can you go from there? You know what I mean? If you're going to take your clothes off, that's fine. But that has to be act 3. You know, like, relax. Show me a nipple or something in fucking intermission. But act 3, that's when you can take your clothes off. Because what the fuck are you going to do? Where are you going to go?
Yeah, no, you would be, okay, so you would be surprised how often that happens in drag with new performers where they just get naked in the first 30 seconds.
Are you
And it's
kidding
like,
me?
well,
I
what
was
do you...
in New York before Bianca Del Rio won. I've seen that bitch before she was famous. And that's what they do, is they tear their fucking wigs off, then they tear their fucking clothes off. And I'm like, but bitch, you still have a verse and a chorus. What are you going to do now? Like, don't.
I'm so excited to hear the interview guest for today answer all these questions.
Oh my God. She came in and I'm like, I was excited because I decided to put eyeliner on today and I saw her and I was like, I failed. She looks so good. She's so fun. I'm going to watch. I'm so excited to watch.
Well, I also did makeup for the show.
Okay, tuck it in. But anyway, that's what I wasn't going to talk about that. But it's true. Like I did a lip sync battle and it was super fun. And I think that lip syncing should be, it's like karaoke. Like people don't respect what it is, and I get personally offended when people are like, ooh, I hate karaoke. And I'm like, well, get out of my life. Like, I don't need to deal with you. Like, so I think that it needs to be seen as what it is. Cause it is a performing art. I think it's a complete performing art, So I think it's beautiful. I think it's fun. I think it's fun to create the choreography, create the reveals. The reveals are what make it fun. If you blow your load in the first second, it's like, where are you going to go? And then people are on their phones and it's just like, now you're not interesting, like.
Yeah, no,
figure it out.
I always love when you help me with a number. I always love it. So I trust you.
Right. And
I'm like this poker,
I don't
this
have
eating.
that much time. Like I can't adopt another kid. So, I would help you more, but you need a lot of help.
This eating money thing, though, is amazing.
It's fine. I love you so much. I talk shit because I love you. Just relax.
I know. I love the eating money, the rice paper. That's amazing.
It was fun.
I might steal that.
It's a fun element. That like, why? Why would you eat money? Okay, because no one's going to expect it. So I'm going to fucking eat money. That's where I'm going to go.
If you come to brunch again, I'll have to do that song.
Oh, that's fun. Do that.
Yep.
Yeah. I was fine. My apartment was trashed after that performance. Trashed. I found bingo balls by Clifton. I found bingo balls in my bed. Like, I was like, I didn't even perform in my bed. Like, it was weird. I found money it was weird. It was weird. So my apartment was trash, but it was fine. Like, it's fine, So now it was dope.
You know what? That's kind of what it's like to be a drag queen. You just find money in your bed and bingo balls, and you're like, how did this stuff get here?
I know. When you're a theater, drag queen, like, all that stuff, it's like you have props and wigs and makeup and shit everywhere, and it's just, you find that shit everywhere. It's fine. Like, it's just norm. That's the norm. So, anyway, I think that's it. I have more to talk about, but we can save it.
Okay. Well, I look forward to it. Congratulations on your win. Is there a place that people can watch it back?
Well, if we broadcast it like live on, like if we broadcast it because it's got a whole song on it, they'll like mute that part out. So
YouTube,
they mute the copyrighted song or whatever. So I'm gonna have the they're editing just my performance, so I'll have that. Oh, and I should say this. I actually am going to through Stab on Wednesday. We're gonna have a new show. Yes, perfect. Well done. I'm watching on Twitch. That was beautiful.
It
lined up
better.
It lined up. It was great.
Yeah.
But on Wednesday we're doing a brand new show, and Jesse's helping us produce that and put it on. And it's going to be called Drawing a Blank, and it's going to be comedians playing Pictionary. And it's going to be, so we've been doing it throughout the quarantine, but we're just going to make a show out of it so people can watch. So here on Twitch at Stab Comedy, you guys watch on Wednesday night at 9. We'll have comedians playing Pictionary. It's super fun. Right
on. Good plug for Stab. Right here. You can send Chelsea some coin. You can send Stab some coin. You can see her on Wednesday. You'll have your video next week, and maybe we can share it with people.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. You can, yeah. They're editing it now, so I'll send it to you. You can have that. Do whatever you want with it. I don't give a shit. And then my game show is on tomorrow night. Who wrote this shit? Tomorrow, Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. So check that out.
Yeah, and by the way, you can put songs on YouTube. It'll just block it out in like Denmark or something. But I put my songs all up on YouTube, so.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'll do that. No problem.
I'll talk to you later. I'll tell you.
Okay. Love you. Have fun.
I love
Enjoy
you too. Thank you.
The show, guys.
All right. Bye, Chelsea.
Bye.
Peers and Queers, Chelsea Bearce. You can send her some coin, like I said. There's her information. You can follow her, or you can send Stab some coin. You can also see Chelsea here on Wednesday at 9 and on Stab Comedy Theater's Twitch doing picture. Is there a name for the show? She said the name. I'm terrible. Drawing a blank. I'm terrible. I'm the worst. If she adopt me, I would learn the name. Anyhow, let's get to the interview guest. I'm so excited. This is great. I'm going to pull up my questions here so I can do this proper. Not a long intro because I'm excited. And so please help me welcome the self-proclaimed Grand Dame of San Jose, WooWoo Monroe.
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. I have a cocktail in hand. I'm doing very well.
Excellent. First,
he's a day drinker, you know.
Hey, I had like 3 Cosmos, 3 shots of Fireball, and a shot of Jameson at brunch. So, day drinking is what we do around here. Before we get into any questions, do you have anything to add to or respond to what Chelsea said about lip syncing?
You know, lip syncing can be very difficult. When I first started doing drag, I wanted to be like a live singer, one of those live singer drag queens. It's a lot more work to prepare a live number, I think. But there is an art form to lip syncing that I think people don't realize how difficult it can be, especially like doing super fast songs or like when you're trying to do choreography with songs, or like the whole singing and dancing part, that it can be difficult, especially and also a lot of lip syncs now. I mean, people are incorporating spoken word into their lip syncs, and doing like dialogue without any kind of music track behind it is very difficult. You have to have the timing down perfectly. Yeah,
you have to listen to it a lot. But I think I agree with both of you. I think it's such an art, and so I'll let the guest in, or the viewers in on this. We haven't met in person, you and I, which is part of the reason I'm so excited to have you on the show, because I finally get to meet you. I host a show, and it's half drag show, half comedy show, and it's my favorite thing, because half the people come for the comics, half the people come for the drag, and they see the other performance style. They see the drag queens for the first time, and they're like, holy wow, I didn't know lip syncing could be so amazing. And I'm like, there you go. Now you've been exposed.
Yep.
So that's such a fun thing for people to see it for the first time and feel the gravity of what it takes. Like you said, if there's spoken word or choreo, to dance and sing at the same time is not easy.
Yeah. And I mean, there's an art form too to making it look like you're the one actually doing the singing. Just like little things like quivering your lip, or like making your jaw open, like you're singing, you know?
Yeah.
Those are little things that when you have a really good lip sync artist that can do those little minor details to really make it look like they are the ones singing that song, it can be really super powerful.
I agree. So, what have you been up to during the pandemic?
Nothing.
That's okay. There's
no, actually, I have a full-time regular job, so that's a good thing, I guess, right now. And so I've been working a lot. I do a little bit of virtual drag here and there. My life has been kind of chaotic in the last year because my living situation had to change, and so I had to find a new place to live, and moving and drag and
did you
downsizing?
Yeah, moving when you're when you're in the middle of moving and then you have a show come up.
Oh.
It's like where's my stuff?
Right.
Can all of it be? Nope, it's not. Okay, well, I need to get this and then go here and then somewhere else to get ready. So you said I could ask you anything, right?
You can ask me anything, girl.
Okay. So I do brunch. I do brunch with 3 people that love you. I don't
know.
Do you know who I do brunch with?
I don't.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna sprinkle their questions because they had. I let them each ask one question for me to you, and I'm gonna sprinkle them in. And I told them, hey, she said anything. So Taryn through you says.
Oh God. Okay.
She says, and I'm gonna see if I can do my best, Taryn. She says, tell her hi, and then bye. And
then bye.
And she says she wants to hear about your day job, if you can talk about that.
I can.
Okay.
So I am a deputy sheriff with San Francisco County. I work currently assigned to the custody division, and I work in one of our county jails. So I go to work. I supervise inmate housing units. I supervise legal interviews with their when they go to visit with their attorney.
Mm-hmm.
We are in charge of clothing, feeding, housing, everything. So it's everything from, monitoring the kitchen workers to doing laundry exchange to just making sure that everybody is alive and well, making sure that we have a quite a large psychiatric population, people with some severe psychiatric disabilities. And so we have to deal with that sometimes. People that have a propensity to want to hurt themselves or others. So there's that element as well, which can be trying and physically demanding as well. But
Sure.
Overall, it's a pretty mundane job, 98% of the time.
Now, this is sometimes I like to ask queens if they talk about their day jobs on the show, because not everyone wants to. Do you ever take anything from your day job and incorporate it into drag, or vice versa?
Not really. I have done a couple numbers like Jane's Addiction, Been Caught Stealing. Where I run around in the audience, I take things from people in the audience and I put it in a big bag. That's fun. I've done all kinds of crazy. I did one number where I was in an inmate jumpsuit, like an orange jumpsuit, and took a turn in a makeshift toilet and then pulled it out and had drugs inside a baggie and like snorted them. So, I've done that kind of stuff on stage.
Okay, so that is taking something from your job.
That is, I guess that would be taking something from my job.
Yeah, I mean, anyone could watch like Oz or anything and think of that, but I think because you're around it every day, you're able to find the humor in it and
Right.
a performative elements of it. Now, the orange jumpsuit.
I bought it from a costume store. It
Okay.
was not. I did not steal it from work.
Because I have been wanting a prison dress for a long time. That's like part orange jumpsuit, part like traditional black and white stripes, part denim. And I was
That's
like,
cute.
thank you. I just don't know how to sew, so that's the problem. But I was like, oh man, wow. Because you had an authentic one, but no, you bought it from a costume shop.
No, I bought mine from a costume store. I didn't.
Now,
I didn't steal one from work.
how authentic was it? Were you like, this isn't even close?
Oh, it's not even close. Yeah, they're like that costume store. It's that costume store material that's like super thin cotton. You wash it once and it starts to unravel.
Yeah. Also, that's what happens with clothes from Forever 21.
Yeah.
Well, work is good during the pandemic and virtual drag shows. How do you like performing virtually?
Actually, I enjoy it. I've enjoyed hosting shows. I've enjoyed doing some of the online shows with other people. I've hosted a few online trivia nights and bingo and stuff like that with private corporation. I have a lot of friends that are work for these companies that have big, huge, LGBTQ populations in their staff.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have their own little LGBTQ community within the organization.
Right.
And companies like Apple give their employees money to have these groups. So they're all the time doing bingos and getting their employees involved in trivia nights, and it's all a way for them to maintain camaraderie between employees, and it's nice to be able to have that have this as an option right now.
Sure.
During that, so yeah.
Do the corporate people, do they ever say something? Because I've done some corporate events for groups like you're talking about at the big companies where they have the LGBT subgroup of the larger population of the
Right.
company, and it didn't happen there, but I can only imagine it happening from my comedy experience, and I've never done a corporate event there, but I can imagine some a funny boss saying gotta keep the inmates happy. Has that ever happened to you? And you're like, oh sir, these are not inmates.
No.
Okay.
No, I've never had that happen. Thank goodness. That would be awkward, I think.
Yeah, some people try to be funny like me and fail. So
Yeah.
Okay, so some of the virtual performing you've done or the time that you've spent in drag since we've been in pandemic has been to support your home bar, Renegades, right?
Right. I mean, sorry.
No worries.
So my local little dive bar where I host my own show, because of the pandemic, they had to shut down, and so we started doing the virtual shows shortly after the shutdown, just to help him make his rent and in the bar, and luckily we've been able to keep his bar open. I mean, not open, but keep him his rent paid,
Right.
and
Keep him in place,
which is kind of hard. Last weekend, actually, I resorted to wearing a dog shock collar during my show, and for every $50 donation somebody made, I got a shock in the neck. So that was fun. I wouldn't do well. I'd probably do it again. It was actually pretty fun.
So that actually in my list, it brings up another question from one of my brunch castmates. So this one comes from Apple Adams.
Oh God. Okay.
And really quick before
yes, I will sleep with you, Apple. Oh, I'm sorry. What was the question?
Before I ask, I have to. She wanted me to pass along this message. She said that you and this means a lot to me actually. And then we talk about her show After Hours a lot on this show. So she said that you inspired her with what you do. You inspired her when she created After Hours. And it motivates her still with what you do, to look for new and different types of drag performances and talent, and not just stick with the tried and true. So she really wanted me to tell you that, and she really wanted to say hi.
I love Apple. She's great. You know, I've always maintained the ideas that there's so many different styles of drag, and they're all valid. Mm-hmm. And as long as you come out on stage and are entertaining, I don't care what your drag looks like, you know, as long as you're entertaining. That's what I have to say about it. No, there's so many different styles of drag, and to like these some shows where they limit like the cast, like because we only want this particular type of performer or this particular look. I think it kind of limits like who's going to be your audience too. I like the fact that my show is extremely diverse. We have every plethora of the gamut of drag at my show, and it was designed that way from the start, and I will keep it going that way forever. That's
awesome. And so I
love having Apple there too. She's amazing.
Oh no, I love all three queens that I do brunch with. They're all amazing and so important to me. And Apple has been there with me since the beginning. And she's one of my favorite people in the world.
Yeah.
So her question was really simple, not as long as her nice sentiment she wanted me to pass along. Do you still have a rash on your neck?
From the shot collar?
Yeah.
No, it went away. It was gone. It was gone later that night. It just, if you leave that dog collar in the same spot, it obviously is it's stimulating the skin, so it's gonna bring blood to the surface. So if I had left it in the same spot, I probably could have gotten burned there.
Oh.
But I wound up moving it around all night long, and it was fine.
Okay, I'm glad you're okay.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I do a lot. I've told Jesse here is my producer of this show. He owns Stab Comedy Theater. And I've also told Taryn, like, I will do anything to support Stab. I'll do anything to support Badlands. I don't know if I do a shot collar. I will I will do shots. People can pay to have me do shots. I offered to walk up the hills in San Francisco in my 6-inch stripper heels. I'll do a lot of things, but I don't know about a shot collar. Maybe I haven't found.
Actually, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad.
I haven't found my kink, so maybe that's it. Maybe I'd like it. Let's see. Back to my questions. And I will tell Apple hi, and she says hi back.
She's a sweetheart. I love Apple to death.
So we'll use her to segue to the next question. Apple comes and does your show a lot. Tell us about your show that she does and that you put on.
So I have a show. Well, it was twice a month. Right now, we're only doing it once a month. On the third Saturday of the month, at 8 p.m. on twitch.tv/renegadesbar. And my show is super, super campy, we try to cater to camp, fun, horror, messy, crazy, just, you know, we want to keep it light and funny, and we, you know, it's, I've had everything from chocolate strewn all over the place. I think there's still chocolate on the ceiling at Renegades from one number. And water balloons. We had somebody had the audience throw water balloons at her, and she had a dress that had like little pockets of color built into it, so that when the water hit it, it like turned all these different colors.
Wow.
I had a performer once that had melons on stage that she had drew my face on, and she smashed them with a sledgehammer like Gallagher.
Right. How did that one go over?
We've had everything at my show, and we do. So I don't tell everyone there is a splash zone. So, you know, if you're sitting in that area, it's not a guarantee, but there is a chance you could get something on you. I do have a couple of rules for my performers. No raw eggs, no raw meat, nothing biohazard, no bodily fluids. You can simulate bodily fluids, but no real bodily fluids. And then other than that, the sky is the limit at my show. And I encourage my performers too to think outside the box. Like, you can do a traditional drag, like that, one of those traditional drag songs, but think outside the box how you want to present it, you know? And, I've been amazed with the creativity during this COVID shutdown of some of the video production numbers that people have come out with. Like, it's just insane, like how creative some of these artists are. I'm floored sometimes.
What inspired you to open up a show and host a show that is so diverse in its performance elements, performance types? Yeah, what led to that?
So I started doing drag at a little club here in San Jose that's now closed, called Tinker's Dam. And the drag show that I started performing in was kind of, most of the performers that performed there were very traditional, like, you know, gowns and wigs and very, very feminine beauty makeup, you know, and I was like the new crazy clown in town, you know, bald head. I did bald drag pretty much exclusively for the first year and a half, 2 years I did drag. And I would just I glue hats to my head or like little weird things onto my head. And then I started getting performance opportunities in San Francisco. And one of the shows that I would do was called The Monster Show, which is still running. And it was a cute little campy show in this tiny little bar, the Edge Bar there in San Francisco. And the stage was like literally like 3 feet by 4 feet. I mean, tiny stage. And you learn how to adapt. You learn how to create art in such a small space. I saw so much like diverse, wonderful talent, and I wanted to bring that to the South Bay. I wanted to be able to showcase that type of drag in San Jose, and I wanted the queens in San Jose to have a place where they could do that too, where they could make a mess if they wanted to throw water around or you know, smash melons or whatever. You know, if they wanted to do that, they would have a place to do that. And so about a year and a few months after I started doing drag, I approached the owner of the bar where I do this show, and I pitched this idea of this show to him. And very reminiscent of the Monster Show or the old Training Shack show. I don't know if you ever were in San Francisco a long time ago. They had a show called Training Shack. It's kind of a you know, passe thing. It kind of went bye-bye because of the name.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
when
No, I understand.
when things started becoming people became a little more enlightened, if you will.
Right.
You know, but I mean, for a long time, that was the place to go to see diversity and interesting art. Drag was, Tranny Shack. And so I pitched this idea to Lewis, the owner of Renegades, and he loved the idea. He thought it was a great idea. He wanted to encourage it. We planned it out. We came up with a marketing scheme for it. We did some video content to help start marketing the show. And literally the first night we had a line out the door, like trying to get in.
Really?
And it was super encouraging. From the start, I've had nothing but amazing performers at my circus show. I try to vet my performers pretty well. Apple seemed to make it through the cracks for some reason. I don't know, but but I do vet my performers pretty well because I do hold that show at a much higher standard, I think, for performance. I want the paying audience to that show to get some true entertainment. So I try to vet those performers. I have another show now on the first Saturday of the month, also on twitch.tv/renegadesbar, called Cattle Call. And that's more of our like open mic night kind of drag show. And we when we were doing we just started doing Cattle Call like a few months before the shutdown. And so the way Cattle Call works is basically you show up with your music. You show up. We're gonna have you can email your music early, or if you show up with digitally on your phone or whatever, we can plug it in. But we started that show and it was literally just like open mic night. Like I would get up, I'd do a number, and then people would sign up to, like karaoke, they sign up on a list and we just go down the list. And when we were done, we were done. If we went till 2:00 in the morning, we went till 2:00 in the morning. If we were done at 11:30, we were done at 11:30.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a fun night. I found some new performers that were fantastic by doing that. And but it also gives the performers that don't have that performance background a chance to get up there and just try their art. Like get up there and try something, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But if it does, then you can take it further,
Right. Or
so it's just giving people the opportunity to put their foot in the door,
Absolutely. And I think that's, and like I said, we talk about Apple's show After Hours here in Sacramento a lot because I've had her on the show, and it's important to her, and it's where I started performing. And oftentimes people ask me like, how can I start performing in drag? And I'm like, After Hour. I mean, and in a non-COVID world, because it is like an open mic. As long as you come and you're in drag and you're prepared, they will let you on at After Hours. And it's great because that doesn't exist a lot of places. And
the show where I first started performing drag was kind of like that. If you came in drag and had music, they would put you on the lineup. And there's good parts and bad parts to that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get some performers that are just, it's kind of like you want to grab that hook and pull them off stage, but other times you get great performers and you weren't even expecting it.
Absolutely. I mean, and like you said, like how else do people start if they don't have that open door to put their foot in? Like, how do you even know where to begin?
Giving people that platform to be able to stick their foot in the door. So many drag shows are just kind of closed off to a certain group of people. And I've never liked that about some drag shows. But we have to have places like Circus and these other places that hold a higher standard, so that, because if you're paying to go to a show, you expect to be entertained. My cattle call show isn't there's no cover charge for that, so I don't expect performers to be super polished or whatever. My circus show, I did hold my performance to a little higher standard. You don't have to be super polished. You don't have to come in with great jewelry and great costumes and everything, but you have to entertain. That's my thing with circus. So, yeah.
Well, here's my question. And I was actually, no lie, I was just talking to Apple about this. 3 hours ago? I said these words. So, when you have figured out how to perform, so you start there. You start with cattle call, and then you do it for a year or two, and now you know who you are as a performer. You know what you want to do. You can use that space as an opportunity to try new things and figure out new stuff that you want to do, because it is like an open mic.
Right. And that's the other nice thing about cattle call, is even if it's something, maybe it's something that you're not really sure you want to do, but it's like you want to try something different.
Yeah.
Cattle calls, like, those are the types of shows that are great to try something different. You don't know if it's going to pan out. You don't know if it's going to fly over, if people are going to enjoy it or not. Try it at an open mic kind of show, because those are the shows that are going to, you're gonna get honest feedback from the audience. But
like you said, lower stakes, because they're not expecting, a $20 show. So right. you can do something different or weird, right. that might be outside of your right. I know, but you can do something outside of your comfort zone and see how it feels. Right. Exactly. So I'll admit that's hard for me, because when I go to after hours and I want to do something that I suck at, but I want to use it to practice, the crowd there still is kind of like, "Oh, you're terrible," and I'm like, "No, this isn't my skill set. Like, I'm trying to get better." Yeah. And there's no other place to do that. Like, come on a Sunday to brunch. Right. Like, it's exactly. So frustrating. But it's amazing of you that you have both of those shows. Giving people a chance to perform. So I just want to say that. I want to express that. Well, thank you. And I have to commend Renegades Bar, the owner, Louis Sarmento. He literally gives me such free reign to do some of the craziest stuff. And I could not do that show without him and without his support and the support of all the patrons of Renegades Bar, because they are amazing. They really, really are. We have a really solid base of patrons that come to circus regularly and cattle call, and it's nice to see the same faces all over and over. And it's also the great thing about Renegades is everyone's welcome there, so we get these weird walk-in people that are just like, "What is this about?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, okay, this is cool," And so we'll get people from all over, and then we have our regulars that maybe don't come to every show, but they come frequently enough, and then they have people from out of town that they bring to the show with them, and it's such a neighborhood bar, and pretty much everyone that goes to Renegades on a regular basis knows each other. We you can go there any night of the week and have a drink with a friend and sit and chat, and and it's such a comfortable environment, and I'm lucky to have that as a place to also create art. Absolutely. I've never been. I'm I need to come and just see the place and see a show. Yes, that'd be amazing. Apple, you and Apple should come down for a road trip. I am so in for that. I don't know if she wants to be in a car with me that long, but I'll ask her. And bring Mercury with you too. Okay. Saw her today too. I will. I'll have to let Apple know.
Aaron's not invited.
Okay. I will let her know that. I will sternly disinvite her from this.
No, I've always wanted to have her. She's always busy on Saturday nights. So
you know what? That's actually we go on car trips a lot, Taryn and I. So that I've never been on one with Apple on a road trip, but I've been on a couple with Taryn. So
Taryn's fun. I like Taryn a lot.
if she's ever undisinvited, I'll see if I can get her to come. Oh, and speaking of Renegades, so where can people watch your next show? You said twitch.tv/Renegades Bar, and they can support the bar there?
You can. We have we'll have all the links there. If you can't tune in, you can always donate to Renegades Bar by using Venmo or Cash App, and their handle is just Renegade Guy on Venmo and Cash App. And then there's also a GoFundMe page somewhere. If you go to Renegades Bar on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, they have a GoFundMe page as well.
Cool.
But Renegade Guy on Venmo or Cash App is probably the best way.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
people should. No one tips me or Clifton or Chelsea ever.
And
but they
join
should
us
tip
for our
Renegades.
virtual shows too sometime, because they're a lot of fun. My DJ Ayumi Please is amazing. She's an amazing DJ, but she's also super fun to kiki with on screen, and we just have such a blast hanging out and drinking and yakking and watching people's virtual drag numbers and then ripping them to shreds. And we actually, so one of my drag daughters, Alpha Andromeda, and my DJ host a show the second and fourth Saturdays of every month, so it was last night, called Action and Drama. And they literally just like play music videos and then talk about them. But they always pick these like really super random like music videos, and that are like really bizarre. But last night they had me on as a guest commentator, I guess you could say, and we did a musical night. So we got to look at all these like YouTube videos from like these random musicals all over. It was really good. It was a lot of fun. There's a drinking game involved in that show too. So yeah, if you so choose to join in on the drinking game part of it.
I think that's the best part of the pandemic is not everybody, because some people are trying the same thing that they've been doing over and over and over, and it doesn't necessarily work virtually with what they're doing. But like the show you're describing, and then some shows do work virtually, like Circus works virtually, and we have DJ Pocket up here who has a virtual show. But the new shows that people are creating, like you were saying, you're kind of stunned with people's creativity with the music videos they're producing for drag numbers. I'm kind of floored with just the new directions that people are like, hey, here's a way to be creative. It's not what I usually do, but let me try it. And then it works.
And I'm curious to find out how that's going to translate back to live performance when we start live performing again. Are people going to bring some of these elements that they used in virtual drag back into live performance? Are they going to try to use special lighting effects? Are they going to try to like change up their makeup? Are they going to try to do these interesting like concept kind of numbers where, you know, during this whole shutdown, people have been producing some of these most amazing like concept art kind of drag numbers virtually. And I'm really, really fascinated to find out how that's going to influence the next generation of live drag performing.
It could be, if nothing else, you could start a third live show, you know, like a concept art show,
right?
To keep that going, because you're right. It is really interesting. I've never thought about it like that. embarrassingly, I've thought like which streaming shows are going to stick around, and which are going to fall by the wayside once we can go back to regular life. But you do make a good point. Like, people are using elements that they're unable to use or were previously didn't think to use, and now are they going to carry it over?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's so much to like there. I've seen some amazing drag numbers where they're using like some of the coolest like digital effects and things like that would be impossible to bring to live performance. But I'm curious to find out how producing those kinds of numbers will affect their live performances later. You know,
Absolutely.
Are they going to try to like think outside the box now when they go back to live performing, so that they come up with more creative, inventive, like performance art pieces?
Yeah, I think these sound great. Like I love kind of performance concepts. Like, oh
yeah,
this is great. I'm excited.
I love it too. And every now and then I come up with a great idea for a conceptual weird number or whatever. My go-to though is Broadway musicals. I am such a theater queen that yesterday I actually did a podcast with a friend of mine for thegreatpopculturedebate.com.
Okay.
So they do a thing kind of like the fashion photo review for a drag race. So we were debating the drag queens from season 13 on there. And so that was at like 2:00 in the afternoon. And then I had to show at 8:00 last night. So I just stayed in drag all day. And so I figured, why not record a digital drag number during the in between. So I put on a different costume and we filmed a little Broadway musical number in my kitchen yesterday.
That's amazing.
I'm such a Broadway nut that I always go back to Broadway shows.
You know what, I secretly am, and it always surprises people because I never do, unless like our brunch is Broadway themed or I do a Broadway themed show. I never do it because I don't know why, but I just don't. But when we do, it's like, I go back, like I don't even think they're good for drag. Some of them are, but like the Rodgers and Hammerstein numbers, like ugh, like that's like my sweet spot of like Broadway. Like that's might be a little.
I tend to pick more avant-garde musical numbers. The one I did yesterday was like a little medley from Waitress, which is a fairly new Broadway show. And all the music was written by Sarah Bareilles, so it's really like more current like pop music, but it's really it's telling a story. And that's, I think whatever drag you do, you should tell a story. Like your drag should have a beginning and a middle and an end, and it should arc, and there should be emotions to it, and whether it's a fast paced song or a slow song, or there should be a storyline involved in it. And even if it's just a dancing number, the song itself has a story. So you should your choreography should match, at least what the storyline is going along with. I'm so in love with that type of drag where you tell a story in a complete full story in 3.5 to 5 minutes,
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention, you mentioned your DJ that you work with, the DJ at brunch, DJ Ryan Andrew. He said you might know him from Splash in San Jose.
Probably, yeah. He
says hi as well. Everyone was so excited. Everyone was like, "Oh my God, you have WooWoo!" And I was like, "Yeah." Anyone want to say hi?
I love performing. I love going up to Sacramento to perform. I love performing at Splash here in San Jose. it's a completely different audience than my Renegades crowd, but I love it too. And those are the places where you just have to come out there, and you can't really do those concept numbers. You got to think about entertaining the masses at that point. So
right,
yeah. But I enjoy those types of shows too, and I have some of my fondest drag memories have been at Splash.
right on. That's so
Yeah.
cool. You mentioned that you stayed in drag all day yesterday. What's the longest you've ever been in drag in one day?
Oh my gosh, Gay Pride a few years ago. I was hosting the main stage at Silicon Valley Pride. I was in the parade in the beginning, so I had to be at the parade route by 9 a.m. In full drag, ready to go, and I started getting ready about 6 o'clock in the morning, and I hosted the main stage, and then I performed at Splash that night. So I went, after packing up all my stuff from hosting the main stage, I walked over to Splash, got out of body and had a couple cocktails and something to eat, and then got back into body and did a show at Splash that night. I didn't get home till about 2:15 that night. So that was a good, what was that?
17 hours?
Like almost 20 hours in drag.
Now,
Yeah.
so I never know. I mean, we have, at least on Twitch, I can see comments, and somebody really said the shot collar was a great fundraiser. But
we raised like $4,500 last week for Renegades Bar.
that is awesome.
I know, all in $50 increments. Shocks to my neck.
Well, I mean, I guess I'll say to Jessie, if you need that, here's WooWoo, and she could do it because I won't. No, I would do that. But I was gonna say I don't know who my audience is ever, unless they speak up. So just in case, I don't think on the show we've talked about face in face, out of face, and you just mentioned get out of body so you could eat and be comfortable. Could you define that for anyone watching that has no idea what that means?
So, like, getting in face would be like putting on your makeup.
Mm-hmm.
Just this part, with or without a wig. Usually for me, just putting on my face, it's not including a wig. Then, because my wigs are very, I match my wigs to my outfits a lot, so I'm very matchy that way. And typically, like, if I'm just in face and going to a club, I'll go in bald, but getting into body would be like putting on your breastplate or your bra with your cutlets, and then and putting on your hip pads and all of your tights and all of your undergarments and your corset and all that other stuff. All that stuff that makes you really look like a woman.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of the people that see drag for the first time, I don't know if they know how much drag queens are wearing. You're not cold on your legs, at least.
Oh,
I'll
no.
say.
Yeah, I typically wear like 6 or 7 pairs of tights, 2 pairs of fishnets. So I'll tell you right off the bat. I'm gonna give you the whole tea. I buy my foam for my hip pads at a place called Bob's Foam Factory. I buy a very special type of foam because it's very, very flexible and very squishy. So I put those have my hip pads all carved out. Where are my hip pads? Somewhere. They're somewhere. And then I put those underneath one pair of regular tights, dance tights, and then I put a pair of fishnet stockings over that. And the fishnet stockings kind of help even out any uneven areas or like areas that go from your hip pad to your skin. So where there might be a line, the fishnets kind of blend that out. And then I put 3 more pairs of tights on top of that. And then another pair of fishnets.
For looks.
And then in between there somewhere, there's usually there's of course the tucking process beforehand, which is everybody always goes, oh, that's doesn't it hurt? And like after like the first or second time you do it, you're just used to it. Yeah. But I don't use tape. I use a gaff, which is like an oversized thong panty for boy parts. But I get that all done. I put on my hip pads. I put on the tights. I put a corset on, and then pull 2 of the pairs of tights up over my corset, and the fishnets up over the top. The second to the last pair of tights that I put on, they're the high tights that have the strap over the shoulders.
Oh,
so
okay.
that covers up my corset all the way up. And then I use there's a couple different types of bras that I use, and I sew a panel usually in the back of the cup so that it creates like a little pocket for the breast cutlets that I use. The chicken cut. I call them chicken cutlets. They're silicone breast forms that I use in the bra because I think they give a more realistic look. And if you're not going to use a breastplate like the kind that go around your neck, I think it's the next best option. I do have a few breastplates that I use here and there, but I don't use them on a regular basis. And I don't know, I probably should get more used to using them, but I don't know. I like the feeling of the bra and I don't know, whatever. But that's getting into body, that's getting your body into the shape that you want to emulate whatever character you want to do. Now, like for some people, like for drag kings, getting into body, maybe, if it's a female, biological female doing male presenting drag, they might need to use like what are those called? The things that hold down their breasts.
Oh, I interviewed a comic and she calls it a gay vest. But yeah.
Yeah, so they might have to do that. I know some drag queens, some drag kings, will use tape and pull their breasts kind of to the side, and give themselves a little flatter look, and then they contour with makeup to make it look like a male's chest. I've seen that. We do some crazy things to our bodies to create this weird art form that we love so much.
It's the illusion of it, the fantasy.
It really is an illusion, because when I go shopping for clothes, if I'm just gonna go try to buy something off the rack, I can't find anything. There's nothing that's gonna fit me. Like my shoulders and my torso are like a size 20 dress. Do you know what kind of dresses I can buy for in size 20?
From the dress bar.
They're all mother-in-law dresses, mothers of the bride dresses. Yeah. Yeah. So, if I buy a skirt, it's like a size 10, So I've finally wound up just getting to the point where I have stuff made, or I make it myself.
Yeah, I think that's a really great way to go, because like I was talking about that prison dress that I want, that I've conceptualized, but I can't even sketch out. I'm like, nope, I'm gonna have somebody make this, because it doesn't exist, and I know what I want. So,
right.
And some
I mean,
queens.
that's the great part about that too, is if you have an idea and a concept that you can convey to somebody to make for you, you're going to have a one of a kind piece that nobody will ever have again, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And some queens like you make your own hip pads. Some queens make them for other people. You get your foam from an actual foam store.
Yeah, it's called Bob's Foam Factory.
Okay. And
they basically sell cushions for upholstery, like for couches and stuff like that. Yeah. But they have memory foam. They used to have memory foam. I don't think they carry memory foam anymore. But the foam that I use is called Q25 foam, and it's super, super spongy, and it's super stretchy. So you can kind of tug and pull on it a little bit, and it won't rip. I mean, it will if you really, really tug on it.
Sure.
Nothing's completely indestructible.
Right. Well, I mean, it sounds like my heart and my emotions. Like you can tug on it a little bit, but like it'll still rip eventually. So like, be delicate. Yeah. I feel like this store, Bob's Foam Factory. I feel like that's a front. Like I feel like
no,
it doesn't.
I've been in the back.
I know, but I think it's really just a store to supply foam to drag queens. I don't think
maybe.
I don't think he's selling anything to any. That's just to stay in business, so he doesn't have to say he's just making hip pads.
He'd have to sell. He'd have to be supplying a lot of drag queens.
Well, there are a lot. They need hip pads.
God, you can't. Sometimes you can't spit anymore without hitting a drag queen.
Right, and some drag queens wear not just 2 hip pads, but some I've seen 4 hip pads before. Have you seen that?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that part.
Oh, I've seen some drag queens stack their hip pads, like wear 4 hip pads instead of just 2.
I have, and there's a process to it. There's a reason behind that. I think, especially if you're like a dancing queen, a lot of times they'll use separate butt pads and separate hip pads. Like they'll use the shape for their hips separate from the shape for their butt, because the shape that you have to create to make it looks like the continent of Africa, basically.
Right, one side does, the other one looks like Africa reversed.
Yeah, exactly. So in order to create that look, like some people move so much that shape just can't really withstand the movement, and it tears right in the center. So, some people use 2 separate pieces. And when I've seen that done, it's usually like they use like the Astro Booty shorts that have the butt on them, and then they put hip pads over that.
Now, if they had the Q25 from Bob's Foam Factory, I feel like I'm doing a promo placement. If they had the Q25 from Bob's Foam Factory, would it still rip in the middle?
It will.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you're really bad if you're really, really rough on it, it will rip. Yeah. Yeah. I really like that particular foam. But they also make Q35 and Q45 foam, and it's just a little like the Q45 is stiffer. It doesn't give as much.
Okay.
But if you're, if you have a specific shape and you want it to be a little firmer, sure.
Have you seen Kinky Boots? Because that's what this whole thing sounds like, Kinky Boots to me. Okay,
wait a second. I'm going to show you right there. You see that up on the wall?
My picture's just a second behind. 1 second. I do. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So you've seen it.
That was signed by the entire cast. So yes, I've seen Kinky Boots.
Okay.
I have 4 friends. I actually kind of became friends with some of the members of the cast because I went so often. I've seen Kinky Boots probably 20 times.
Does Bob's Foam Factory not sound like a Kinky Boot situation?
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. Are we keeping sofa cushion companies alive by making hip pads?
Okay, so here's the thing. Like some people don't have the right hip pads. Some people need new hip pads. I feel like it would just take one foam factory to inspire a legion of drag queens to get proper fitting. And see, you can go into, now I'm creating a whole different vertical for Bob's Foam Factory.
I go to Bob's Foam Factory and I get 3 inches foam, 3-inch thick foam, and I have them cut the shape of Africa out for me. I have a little pattern that I have them cut it out for me, and then all I have to do is carve it down.
That's what I'm saying. Now all they have to do is add in someone with knowledge to measure, a new. So if you will, here's a scenario: a new queen starts out at Cattle Call in San Jose, right? And she's good, but she's green, right? She doesn't know what she's doing. No hip pads, not wearing eyelashes, and you just slip her a card, and it just says Bob's Foam Factory.
Bob's Foam Factory.
Right, and she goes and they measure her and they say, "Here are hip pads," and now she's good. See, we could. Yeah. I'm telling you, this could be a thing.
This could totally be a thing.
Because that's what I was thinking about the whole time.
One of my drag daughters really does an amazing job of carving out hip pads.
Oh.
Yeah. If you ever need hip pads and you want a pair of new hip pads, talk to Nyla Ray.
Okay.
She's amazing. She'll carve you out a pair.
Can you spell that for anyone watching?
Niyalarey.
So here's a question.
Yeah.
Sometimes I ask about drag families. Now you've mentioned 2 drag daughters.
Yep.
How many do you have?
I have 9 drag daughters.
Whoa, woo-woo.
One of which was Rock'em Sakura from season 12 of Drag Race.
Congratulations on your family's success.
I had nothing to do with that, though.
Well, I mean, you're still the mother of the queen.
She's a very hard worker. She worked for that, and I was very proud of her for getting on the show.
That's the.
But I have 9 drag daughters, and they all regularly have performed at Circus. They have their own things here in San Jose as well. My friend, one of my drag daughters, Alpha, she does, I was telling you, the action and drama show, with our DJ. She and one of my other drag daughters, Jackie Lation, has, they host the Silicon Valley Pride, brunch. So together, I'm very proud of all my drag daughters. They're all amazing.
So my first question is, and I understand this because I have partially like a heartworm. I just wormed my way into people's lives and said, now you're like Apple is my drag aunt. She didn't have a choice to whether or not she was my drag aunt. I just said repeatedly and consistently until I broke her down. You are my drag aunt.
Until she couldn't deny it. You're
right. Also, she's kind of my drag mom's like drag sister, so it worked. And Mercury is my drag aunt also. So
that was how I got Rock'em Sakura, by the way.
Through
she was in a competition. And she was in the interview portion, whatever, and she just happened to say something about her drag mom, WooWoo Monroe, and I was in the audience. I'm like, okay.
I guess
I'm her drag mom.
It's funny because I don't know if you know Honey LeBronx, vegan drag queen out of New York.
What is her name?
Honey LeBronx.
I have heard the name, yes.
So she's one of Bob the drag queen's drag daughters, and so we've talked about this, and then I've also talked about this with Aurora Lot Monroe, or more. Sorry, Aurora. wow, I'm spacing. It's been a long day. Aurora Monroe. I don't know if you know her.
Aurora, are you talking about Aurora a lot more?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
I love her. I've been up for 36 hours. Thank you. I talked with Aurora about it. I just always call her Aurora. That's my problem. So someone shouldn't ask a drag queen to be their drag mom. Like, you shouldn't say, "Hey, will you be my drag mom?" You kind of just have to wait till they accept you. But it does sometimes work out where, like, Rockham just claimed you, and you said okay.
You know, here's my only requirement for being in the House of Woo. My uterus is closed off at this point, but I tell my girls, be kind to people, be respectful, and don't take any shit. And just be authentic. Be authentic to yourself. Don't try to be anything other than yourself.
So that was my question. You said the House of Woo. So I don't know if people know that you don't have to share a last name. Like Aurora Lot More does share the famous Moore drag name. Silicon Valley drag name, Central Valley. But your family doesn't.
No, most of my drag daughters were drag queens prior to becoming my daughter. So there's that whole thing where you have to take your drag mother's last name, and that's old school. I mean, you can still do that if you want. It's like, women used to have to change their last name when they got married. That doesn't happen anymore all the time.
Right.
So, same kind of thing. You can if you want to, but I don't want a whole slew of Monroes running around. Everybody already confuses me with being a Mercedes Monroe's drag daughter. She's like, "Oh, are you part of the House of Monroe?" I mean, no, that's Munro.
Right. So
I'm Monroe.
Now, someone told me at brunch, maybe it was Apple, or someone said that's how you got your name because of your day job. Is that true?
No. No.
Okay.
I got my drag name from my first pet's name and the street I grew up on. Yeah.
Okay.
I grew up on Monroe Street in Sinclair, Wyoming, and my first dog's name was WooWoo. Yeah. My dad was working, and there was this little stray dog that came around his work. He brought this little stray dog home. I was 2 years old, and I tried to say woof woof, and it came out WooWoo, and that became her name.
So that whole thing that goes around on Facebook, like your drag name is your first pet in the street, you actually just did that.
I did it, yeah.
The other one that always goes around is your grandmother's name and the last sweet thing you ate. I don't know if you've ever seen that one. Yeah. You could have had
my grandmother's name and the last thing I ate would be Eunice Pizza.
Would you be the same queen if you were Eunice Pizza?
I would not be the same queen if I was Eunice Pizza.
A whole alternate reality where Eunice Pizza is hosting shows.
Well, okay, so using the pet's first name and the street you grew up on, what would you be?
I'd be Jan Pheasant.
Jan
Pheasant.
Jan Federin?
Pheasant, like the bird.
Oh.
Yeah. And Jan like Jan, so Jan Pheasant would be my name.
Okay. The best one I ever heard was an acquaintance of mine. We were at a party and we were talking about this, and her first pet's name was Missy Mo. And she grew up on Leicester Street.
See, I get a better if I do grandmother and last thing I ate. It's Christina Taco.
Christine, that's actually not too bad. Christina Taco.
Right. I had tacos at brunch. They were delicious.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
We had pizza for lunch. I
Eunice
think we're
pizza.
gonna have leftover chili for dinner.
Coming to the stage, ladies and gentlemen, leftover chili.
Leftover chili.
So the House of
That would actually be a great drag name.
I'm saying, like,
Leftover chili.
we're gonna write our own script that we're gonna pitch to Netflix about kinky boots, except instead of boots, it's at a foam factory, and it's leftover chili and Eunice pizza.
Yeah.
And Christina Taco comes by.
And Christina Taco, yeah, Christina Taco.
So the House of Woo, you have 9 daughters. Is that as far as your?
And four drag granddaughters.
Oh wow! Congratulations.
Yeah.
I have.
That's why this uterus is shut down. It's gone. Yeah.
I have.
You done had a hysterectomy.
I have Sacramento has everyone's grandmother, Do Me More. You probably know her.
Oh yeah, I do.
And then, so I mean, she's, I guess, like my great grandma. And then I have an evil bubby. I don't say her name because she's an evil bubby. And then I also have a grandmother. I can't say her name either. But I think big drag families are fun. Do you like having a big drag family?
I do. You know, it's fun to be able to have somebody to bounce ideas off of. It's also nice having people that you can trust and people that trust you with with just, it doesn't even have to be drag. It can be just life issues.
Yeah.
God knows I've had some life experience in my time, so it's nice having those younger people in my life that kind of keep me young as well. But also, you can also sometimes impart a little bit of wisdom to them, and likewise, they can impart some wisdom to you. When the whole after the COVID's shut down, when the whole Black Lives Matter controversy and everything came out, being in law enforcement, I found it very difficult, not justifying my job or anything like that, but coming to terms with how I should react to what people were saying. And really, it was nice having my drag daughters around to tell me that I didn't have to do that. Like, it wasn't necessary, because people know who I am. And there's no question where I stand on equality. There's no question where I stand as far as racism is concerned. There's no question about any of that. So for me to have to explain my job to somebody wasn't necessary either.
I agree. I think if people know who you really are, and I know law enforcement, and if you know who the person is, then they don't have to justify who they are, because you know them,
Right.
and they've justified who they are with actions. And just the shows.
I mean, I had young queens like that came after me. One in particular here in San Jose, who really came after my whole drag family, and it kind of caused a little bit of a rift for a while, because simply because I was in law enforcement, and they were all about fuck the police, blah 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 blah, and I completely understand their frustration, and I agree with a lot of their positions, which is what was really hard for them to be coming at me when I actually kind of agree with where they stand, as far as, yes, I completely agree that we shouldn't be spending a lot of money on some of the things that law enforcement spends money on. I fully support more community-based organizations responding to a lot of the calls that police now have to respond to. I think that social workers, we should have a lot more social workers involved in the whole process of when you have somebody that's mentally ill, who needs to have some kind of intervention or whatever. I think those are key elements. Unfortunately, we as a society, we have always just lumped all of these things into public safety, and law enforcement takes the brunt of that and winds up having to deal with that. And it's not necessarily law enforcement that needs to be involved in that.
Agreed.
And I fully support a transition from law enforcement having to deal with a lot of those things.
I think if somebody needs a wellness check, for instance, I think, maybe it should be someone named Tasha in a 97 Corolla that shows up with hot chocolate and says like, hey, are you okay? Do we need to, you want to talk? It shouldn't necessarily be police. Yeah. Good old Tasha and her Corolla. That's all. She can be in it too. Tasha Corolla. Coming to the stage. So the House of Woo.
Yes.
I wanted to say, and I'm sure you've heard this, with 9 drag daughters and 4, you said 4 great.
I lost
grandkids?
count.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, it's going to get bigger.
I think it's 3 or 4, drag granddaughters.
I am Italian, and I'll tell you, my grandmother used to, instead of a bedtime story, she would just start listing off her nieces and nephews. And there were 87 of them, and I always was asleep by number 3. So it's going to get bigger. That's how families work, big families. But I want to say, you said earlier that you can't take any of the credit from Rockham getting on Drag Race. And Rockham is an amazing performer in her own right. But what I want to say is what I've said about my drag mom. And I'm sure Rockham would say the same thing, and all your daughters would, is that a drag mom is a really awesome, this is how I explain it to people. A drag mom is a really awesome thing to have, because it's not somebody who invests their time and energy in you, or sometimes even money, because they want something out of it. It's because they believe in something that's in your head, and they want to help you get that thing in your head out of your head and into reality. And without their help, you wouldn't get that. And so it's such a selfless, wonderful thing. So maybe you don't want to take any credit, but you never know.
I don't take any credit for their talent. That's for sure. I mean, that's all them. I will take credit for encouraging them to follow their dreams. I will always encourage all of my drag daughters to follow all their dreams. And if that means Drag Race, sure. If that means doing drag brunch, great. If that means just going out to the club and drag once in a while, perfect. I really just want all my drag daughters to be authentic to themselves and be true to who they are. They're all amazing performers in their own way. They are all amazing performers. Every one of my drag daughters has a completely different drag style. It's funny because I have Rockham Sakura, who paints like a clown like me. Then I have, but she has her own style as well. And then I have, my little skinny twink, beauty queen drag daughters, and my amazing makeup artist drag daughters, and then the ones that come up with these crazy conceptual art pieces. One of my drag daughters created a number where she made it herself too. She made herself into an elephant with an elephant nose for a trunk. And she's also done she came up with a concept to do the little green army men.
Mm-hmm.
She did that, but as a 50s pinup girl, all green. Like it was like these are amazing concepts. Like these are great ideas, you know. So yeah, I just encourage them to be authentic to themselves. And you know, it's nice to have just someone in your court telling you, this is great. You're doing a great job. Keep it up.
That's wonderful. Like that makes me so happy that you guys all have that, and it's just really great of you to be able to have that, you know, metaphorical house that people can come to and be themselves and be authentic. So I don't know what to say, but like really cool. This is I'm circling way back.
Okay.
So forgive me. How long you mentioned getting into body, and you detailed everything that it takes to get into body. How long does it take you to get in drag?
From the time I step in the shower,
yeah,
to shave and shower, till I am ready to walk out on stage in full body, hair, makeup, everything. I've done it in as little as like an hour and 45 minutes from start to finish. I like to have about 3.5 hours though.
That's a pretty standard answer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Full
Actually,
everything.
You know, I have to say doing the virtual drag has been a blessing because I haven't had to corset or put my hip pads on or body and all that other stuff. It's nipple line up.
Yeah, I think Apple said in one of her streams, more virtual drag, and I don't have to wear anything below my belly button, so I'm here for it.
Right.
And you answered the longest you've been in drag. I always ask these questions of drag queens, and yours are going to be the best answers, I think. What is the most interesting venue that you've performed in?
What's the most interesting what?
Venue?
Oh, venue.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Interesting venue I've ever performed in. Well, I think probably my most memorable one was performing at the Stonewall Inn in New York.
Yeah.
And having a dressing room the size of a closet with like 10 girls in there.
It's a whole different kind of family.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it really makes you appreciate when you have an actual like table to set your stuff out on, and like when you have those places that actually have the dressing room, it makes those types of places really make you appreciate the other ones.
I always think of things that I want to talk to the guest about off air, so I need to put a pin in that because I want to tell you something really cool off air.
Okay.
About dressing rooms. What's the craziest performance you've ever given? And it has to, and if it's not pulling drugs out of a fake piece of poop in an inmate outfit, what is it? I
have a friend, a drag queen friend, who used to live here in San Jose. She's moved to Arizona. Wait, New Mexico? Arizona. One of the two. Yeah, she thinks she's in Arizona. Coco San Pedro. I did a number, and I still do it, but it was best when she and I did it together. The song is called Emerge by Fisher Spooner. And it's basically a girl talking about taking a shit. And I come out and I take a poop on stage, and then she came out and we dug through it and ate it and got it all over our face, and then we made out on stage with chocolate all over our faces.
What's the audience's response to that? Like, is it layered? Because I'm guessing that like it takes
some people are kind of grossed out by it.
Uh-huh.
You know what? What's really interesting to see is when you do that kind of number and you take some of it and you're eating it and then you go to feed it to somebody else. That's when you see the true reactions, because some people go like that and other people will be like, Okay.
That is okay.
Yeah, you get some varied reactions, that's for sure.
I bet. That's yeah. I don't know how I'd react. I can't say. What is the coolest thing about doing drag to you?
My favorite thing about doing drag is literally just interacting with people. I'm such a people-oriented person. My favorite thing is literally right after my show ends and I get to go out in the audience and just talk to people and go have a shot with somebody and then take a tour around the bar and take some pictures and just, that is my favorite thing to do in drag.
That is a very,
yeah,
I don't know, rewarding thing. I guess I'd say rewarding is probably the best word. What is the
what was it you said?
Oh, I just said it's a very rewarding feeling to do that, to be able to, after a show, just to go into the crowd. I miss it.
You know, it's really funny because Renegade's Bar is such the regulars at Renegade's Bar are such a tight-knit group of people.
Mm-hmm.
That I consider them my family. So it's like a huge family reunion every time I have a circus show. I get to see all the people I haven't seen since last month, and we get to kiki a little bit and have a couple cocktails, and we get to have a few laughs, and it's just that's the best part for me. It's just a lot of fun, and I enjoy doing that anywhere I go. Really, I've even going to New York City. My boyfriend lives in New York City. He's out here visiting right now because he's the schools are shut down, so he's teaching remotely, so he can do that from here. So he's out here visiting me right now. But last year, before shutdown, I went out to visit him in New York City, and I had a gig one night, and we went out. It was a brunch show. It was a brunch show. That was what it was. And I just stayed in Face, and we went to one of our favorite little dive bars, and met up with some of his friends there, and just had such a great time, laughing and drinking and drinking and drinking. But I mean, that's my favorite thing when I'm in drag. There's an element to being in drag that where you can say and do things and get away with stuff that you can't get away with being out of drag.
Absolutely.
And I guess as out of drag, I think I'm a little more shy around people that I don't know. And when I'm in drag, I have no problem going up to that person that I've never met before and just forcing myself into a conversation, and I would never do that outside of drag.
It's almost expected. A drag queen is going to pull focus in any room she walks in. So if it's not expected of you, at least it meets the expectations after the fact. It's like, oh, well, of course she'd talk to me. She can talk to anybody.
Right.
So that is a cool thing. So on the flip side, what's the worst thing about drag?
I actually hate getting into drag.
Yeah.
I hate doing my makeup. I know all these drag queens that love playing around with makeup. I don't play around with makeup. I literally never do makeup unless I am doing a gig. I don't like putting on face. It's not that I don't like putting it. It's that necessary part of it that you have to go through to get to the fun part.
Right. It'd be a lot easier if putting on if it was like the Jetsons where there was a thing that just pressed the face. Yeah.
I swear, if somebody invents that, I am buying it. I'm buying it.
That's the first. Bob's Foam Factory has to start making pads. Then they'll work on that.
Right.
It's coming. It's the future. They have the pandemic. Get on it.
Bob's Foam Factory, then Bob's Makeup Factory, then Bob's Hair Factory. You can just start a whole chain.
I'm saying.
We'll have drag queens on a conveyor belt. They just go from one section to the other.
No, okay, so that's a little homogenized for your taste, though. You know, conveyor belt drag queens. How has drag changed since you started performing?
Wow. You know, I think I've only been performing drag for a little over 8 years, and I think in that relatively short amount of time, I think drag has really opened up to a lot more accepting views of what drag can be. I think that it was starting to change about the time that I came on the scene. And there were certainly those campy, like crazy clown makeup drag queens out there prior to me. But I think that when people thought of drag prior to like 2010, 2000, you know, I think people pretty much thought of like impersonators, like, you know, you have, you know, like Varla Jean Merman and, you know, RuPaul and these drag queens that like literally are doing everything they can to be female in person. They are doing everything they can to emulate a woman. Whereas since I've come on the scene, I think not because of me, but you know, I think it's transitioned more into like an appreciation for fashion, but also like changing gender norms, like just kind of, I guess you could call it like gender fuck, if you will, you know, the whole like making characters out of sexuality. It's not even male and female anymore. It's just it's a character of a sexual being, you know, who just happens to have girl parts or girl feminine, you know, whatever.
Lumps and humps, yeah, sure. Everything Fergie sings about.
Well, like here's a good example. When I first started, it was very, very, very uncommon for a drag queen to perform a song that was sung by a male artist, to lip sync to a song performed by a male artist. I think that's a norm now. I mean, I think there's a lot of performers now that do like songs by Queen and songs by, you know, Guns N' Roses, and like they're all over the place now.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of cool to see a drag queen perform to you know, Boy George or like George Michael or, you know, Elton John or, you know, one of those. But as a woman, you know, I think it's cool.
Very cool. All right, so this question is from the third queen that I do brunch with. I also wormed my way into her heart as her drag niece. And it kind of encompasses everything that you and I have talked about today. So Helen Heels says hi.
Oh, I love Helen. She's so cute.
And she wants
I just want to pick her up and put her in my pocket.
Yeah, right? I know. So you see, I love this family that I'm with every Sunday at brunch. I have Taryn and Apple and Helen, and I'm like,
that's a good group.
Yeah, this like I am.
You're in good company, girl.
I am the luckiest. But Helen has a really great question. She wants to know from you, WooWoo, your take on people who say they're doing alternative drag versus what actual alternative drag is. And I'll before you answer, I'll say that when she asked this question, everyone else said, oh yeah, because WooWoo is alternative drag. So.
See, and I don't consider myself alternative. Um, I think that anything that. What was the question again?
Right. So, what's your take on people who say they're doing alternative drag versus people who are doing alternative drag, or what alternative drag really is?
I think it's a mindset. I mean, you may think that you're doing alternative drag, and that may be alternative for you. So, I mean, that's like somebody that is a painter saying that they only do one style of painting, and I don't know, maybe that's not a good analogy. I feel like you be you, and let's not put a label on it. That's kind of the way I feel about it. Like if you really need to label what you're doing, that's fine. And if that's what if you think that you're doing alternative drag and you want to label it as such, okay, great. All I'll say is if you tell me that you're an entertainer and you come out and you don't entertain me, then I go,
Fair enough.
I mean, that's, I think there's a lot of things that can be alternative. I think if you are doing anything that is like pushing the boundaries of what is normal, and I say normal being like societal norms. Like if you're pushing the boundaries of what people consider beauty makeup, I guess that could be. I guess that's probably why people consider me alternative, because I don't do beauty makeup. I mean, I always joke that from the neck down it's all women, from the neck up it's Ringling Brothers. But so I guess that's probably why people consider me alternative. Although I wouldn't consider my performance style that alternative, because I don't do. I've done crazy stuff on stage, but I've typically, don't. I just try to be me on stage, and it doesn't always include eating chocolate shaped in the like poop. But I mean, like if you consider what you're doing pushing the norms of societal norms, then if you want to call that alternative, call it alternative.
So
good for you.
It's in the eye of the beholder, kind of.
It is, and I think that there's some amazing queens out there that literally they put on beauty makeup, they come out there and they do like a traditional song, and they do it so well that they you can't take your eyes off of them. You know what I mean? And that they're entertaining because you can't keep your eyes off of them. They're so good at what they do.
Captivating.
And you don't have to have crazy makeup to do that. You don't have to have some gimmick to have that. If you have a sense of performance on stage, if you have that air of confidence on stage, it's going to translate in your performance.
Okay.
No matter what you look like, no matter what your costume is, you could be wearing rags, and if you come out there and can bring the house to tears, it doesn't matter what you're wearing. It doesn't matter, how great or crazy your makeup is.
It's just about being entertaining.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is. I think I'd echo that. Not only is that what I've learned from performing in drag, but also stand-up comedy. Doesn't matter what you're talking about, or if you're doing puns or one-liners or telling a story, just entertain.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
Yep.
Even if you're not telling, there's another guy that comes on this show sometimes, doesn't tell a lot of jokes, just complains a lot. But something about it is entertaining to other people. I hate him, but something about it is entertaining to other people, and it works for him. So
Yeah.
that is all of my proper questions. Did you have anything that you wanted to say or plug before we go to rapid fire?
I thought I thought there were going to be a lot harder questions, to be honest.
Oh, well, I try not to ask like weird, tough questions. I mean, if you want to ask one to yourself and answer it, you're welcome to.
No. I always tell people that my life's an open book. So, I'll talk about anything, really. I don't care.
Well, maybe I'll try to write tougher questions for you and have you back.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. We can talk about personal lives or all that kind of good stuff.
Right on.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you, WooWoo Monroe, if you're ready for rapid fire questions.
Rapid fire questions. Mm-hmm. Okay, I can't guarantee rapid fire answers, but
They never are. I interview comics and drag queens mostly. They're never rapid fire answers. What is a drag name that you didn't end up using?
What? I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
A drag name that you did not end up using.
Don't have one.
Okay.
I've always been WooWoo Monroe.
This is a good one for you. Favorite wig color?
Oh, pink.
Do you name your wigs?
No.
When you put on a bra, do you clasp it in the front and spin, or do you clasp it in the back with weird, unnatural arms?
I clasp it in the front and spin.
Yeah, that's even all the women I ask. That's mostly how people do bras. How high is too high for high heels?
There is no too high.
Really? What's the highest you've done?
13 inches.
What? They make those?
They're platform boots that I have.
Okay.
They're very unsafe though.
Yeah.
I've taken a few stumbles in them.
I always wear 6-inch heels, and one time I wore 7, and you'd think like nope, huge difference. Never
Huge
doing it.
difference.
Never
Every
doing it.
little bit increases your danger level exponentially.
I feel like that knife game that people do with their fingers. That's what I feel like I'm doing in 7-inch heels. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, why am I doing this? Go back to 6. What is your favorite recurring show to perform in?
The Monster Show in San Francisco.
What's your favorite venue to perform in?
Favorite venue? Oasis in San Francisco.
What is your favorite song to perform to?
Ladies Who Lunch by Elaine Stritch.
Who is your favorite LGBTQ activist?
Ooh, I would have to say Marty Cummings in New York City. She's an up-and-coming city council person, and they are an up-and-coming city council person. Sorry, I didn't mean to misgender.
It happens.
They use the they them pronouns, and they are amazingly vocal and huge advocates for the underdogs. I love them.
What is your favorite item on the gay agenda?
On the
gay agenda.
Oh, on the gay agenda?
Mm-hmm.
What is my favorite item on the gay agenda? Opening back up bathhouses.
I haven't gotten that one before. Which do you think the COVID-19 pandemic affected more, the straight dating scene or the gay dating scene?
Oh, the gay dating scene.
Really?
I mean, yeah, not being able to hook up sucks.
Yeah.
And gay men do that a lot more than straight men do.
That is also true. Yes. What is your favorite position to imagine straight people having sex in?
Ooh. Doggy style.
Fair enough. What is your favorite sexual position?
Doggy style.
Fair enough. What is your favorite thing about the existence of brunch?
What is my favorite thing about the existence of brunch?
Yes.
Bottomless mimosas.
Yes. Do you cook or bake?
Oh, I like to bake.
Why do you like baking more than cooking?
Because it has more to do with science. It's more of a science thing than I'm not good at just like throwing things in and like having like, oh, it needs a little more of this or it needs a little more of that. I need a recipe.
I'm with you.
And baking is great for that because you have to have like a specific recipe because it's science.
Right. You can't deviate or it'll be something different.
Yes.
DC or Marvel?
Ooh, Marvel.
Ooh, who's your favorite character? Or if it's easier, I guess, why an emphatic Marvel?
What's that?
I said if it's easier, because sometimes it's hard to answer your favorite character. So if it's an easier answer, you were so quick to say Marvel. Why?
I think all of the characters are more interesting. They have I think deeper backstories and I think they're much more of a cohesive group. I like when they work together. I think my favorite character is probably Doctor Strange.
Good choice. If you and I are at the bar after a show and someone's buying us shots, what are we getting?
Either Fireball or Gentleman Jack or maybe vodka.
What kind of vodka?
If I'm doing shots of vodka, it better be high end.
Okay.
Like, it better be Belvedere or, yeah.
I think we're best friends. If we're at the bar after a show and someone's buying us drinks, what are we drinking?
My go-to drink is a whiskey and ginger ale. Okay. Or I'm also good with if they don't have ginger ale, whiskey 7-Up. Yeah. I'm also good with vodka tonic or a gin and tonic. Or just a really good dry martini. And
all of these liquors are higher shelf?
When I drink whiskey, I prefer either Maker's Mark or like Bullet or one of those, like middle shelf.
Still good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Vodka has to be high end if I'm drinking it by the shot. If it's a vodka tonic, I can go middle ground. You know, like, but I don't ever do well vodka. No.
What about gin?
Gin, I usually either go for Hendrix or Bombay.
Good choices. I will drink with you.
Yay!
This is probably the most important question. Toilet paper, over or under?
Oh, over.
Okay. Yes, we're friends.
Yes.
In doing this show, I've interviewed people who don't care, and I'm like, I thought I didn't like the under people, but the don't cares. What?
No.
Yeah. Who is your favorite drag queen?
Me.
It's a good answer.
That's the non-controversial answer. Literally my favorite drag queen is Bianca Del Rio.
She is fantastic.
Not only is she an amazing performer, like she's super, super talented and super, super funny, but she's also a total sweetheart. Like if you meet her backstage, she is one of the nicest queens on the planet.
I haven't had the pleasure, but
yeah, she's a sweetheart.
It's always cool to hear people that successful and famous are nice. Who is your favorite drag king?
Oh, Mad Dog 2020. I love Mad Dog. He's him and Miss Sugar are amazing. I love him.
Is he in San Francisco?
They perform mostly in San Francisco. They've done my show before too here in San Jose. Yeah.
Right on.
They have a show. They have a show that they do for the Billy DeFrank Center called the Dog Pound. Yeah,
I like it. That's great. Do you think I'm pretty?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
I think everyone's pretty.
Well, I mean, it started out good, and then it just kind of I feel lumped in now. But okay, I'll take it.
I love your hair.
Thank you.
I can't rock the long hair though. It gets around like I get too hot.
if I ever have good hair, it's because of Liz. Everyone's finding that out now, so it's all Liz. Last question: when the new normal happens, or an old normal, or just a normal, what is the first thing you want to do?
Have an orgy.
That goes in with your answer of bathhouses opening up. So
exactly
yeah,
right. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I hope you get that. I hope it's fantastic.
Me too.
Woo, that's all of my questions.
Well, thank you, Suzette. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on. I'm sorry they weren't tougher, but I really enjoyed having you on and getting to virtually meet you. And
no, I had a great time today. I really, really appreciate you having me today. And tell all of your cohorts at the drag brunch that I love them and I miss them. And I can't wait for all of us to be able to get together again in person and just have a kiki and have a lot of fun when all this is over with and we don't have to do this virtually anymore. We can do it in person. Yeah.
I will pass that along, and they'll all send their love back. And
I can't wait to come back up to Sacramento. Yeah. I love performing up in Sacramento.
Oh no,
the crowds there are amazing.
I another reason I'm very lucky I get to be here. So
yeah.
Thank you, and I'll look forward to getting to meet you in person.
Yay! And having a cocktail together.
A couple.
Yes.
5 or 6. I love them, and I love you, and thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, peers and queers, that was WooWoo Monroe. You can send coin. The information was below her on the screen. I'm sure you saw it. We do this every week. Everyone knows what's going on. Stab's information is above my head. You know it. And with that, we're going to go with our final guest of every week. He's a comic producer, actor, whatever he is. He's angry and sad. David Shapiro.
Suzette,
hey.
How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Thank you. I'm okay. I figured, why not? Let's talk about dating, finally.
Oh, okay.
So, something that's important to me when it comes to dating, at least I think, I don't know, because I've only really dated 2 women in my life, seriously. I've dated a couple others, but not, serious, long-term. Shared experience, mutual shared experiences, it doesn't have to, so, does that make sense, I guess? Because
No.
Okay, so we didn't have to do it together, right? But it's nice if it happened and we're about the same, we can both experience it kind of the same way. So if I was to date somebody 10 years younger, they would remember 9/11 in a different way, and I don't want to date somebody who remembers 9/11 in the same way I do, but that does give a cultural touchstone, like Baby Jessica in The Well, I don't want to date somebody 15 years younger than me and be like, oh, Baby Jessica in The Well. And they're like, what? Nor do I want to date somebody who's like, ugh, when I was, watching the moon landing, because I can't relate to that, and that's probably the best woman for me is the woman who was watching the moon landing. But my mom watched the moon landing. And so that might just be a little bit out of my age range for dating. Also, I think it's important to say, nobody's knocking at my door to date. So how do you date when nobody is trying to date you? Me. Yeah, me. How do I date
There's-
when nobody's trying to date me?
There's
That's the thing. Like, the women that I would want to date aren't trying to date me, and we're in a pandemic. And as you and Chelsea have often talked about, you know, nowadays dating is just sitting on a Zoom screen staring at each other.
Hi.
There is that couple though. I don't know if you saw this in the news. They met on Zoom, mutual friends met on Zoom, and then they were just like, "Fuck it, let's go to Mexico together." So they got an Airbnb in Mexico for like 3 weeks or some shit, and they love each other so much. Now, they're both good-looking people. I think that helped a lot, right? Because like they got there and they're like, "All right, cool, you're hot. I want to live in this Airbnb in Mexico with you for 3 weeks, hottie." That probably takes a lot out of it, you know, out of the like, "Oh, I gotta go." Like, my return flight changed. I mean, can you imagine? Not that anyone has to date anyone who looks a specific way, but like, can you imagine if you were catfished and you got somewhere, and then Zoom takes out the catfish, right? But if you got somewhere and you were there for 3 weeks and you were like, fuck. So I think that's a good place to start the conversation about dating, is the types of two places, and you can pick, I guess, I don't know. The types of women that I'm interested in aren't going to be interested in me. And because I'm mentally ill. Like, I'm really mentally ill. Like, I'm really crazy. Suicidal on top of that, you know. And the other huge red flags, financial ruin. You exist, and by that I mean I have to like help you with you take a lot of my time, Suzette, and I don't know if anyone else is going to be okay with how much time I give you when it comes to dating.
Sorry.
What else? The still in love with my ex thing. That's like a death knell, and that's what everyone is like. Oh, that's the one. Everyone says, oh, that's the one. But the thing is, the other four are really just as bad too. Like financial ruin, my divorce. I owe $57,000 in debt because of my divorce. So like, what woman's gonna be like, hey, I would like to date somebody that's $57,000 in debt? That sounds awesome. Oh, and he doesn't make enough money because he's an actor, comic, producer, writer? Yay! Wow! That's what he could make me macaroni and cheese, and certainly there are people out there who are going to be like, you make me macaroni and cheese, which actually, for the same price, maybe not the same price, but like for just a little bit more, I can make a lot better food. But I digress. I wouldn't, if a friend of mine came to me and they were like, I met a guy, and I was like, all right, cool, tell me about him. And she was like, well, he's mentally ill. He wants to, he's suicidal. He's spends too much time with Suzette Veneti. He's in financial ruin, and he's still in love with his ex-wife. I wouldn't be like, wow, he sounds like a winner. Go for it. I'd be like, what? Oh my God. Have you considered, I don't know, the guys on death row? Some of them are very contemplative and actually innocent. They were like, maybe check there first before this train wreck of a gentleman that you just described. Like, that's a thing that I think people ignore when they think that I should date. They don't think about, like, who's going to date that? Who's going to date me? Somebody equally crazy? Don't need more crazy. I don't need more crazy. I need a crazy that fits my crazy, if that makes sense. Like, I'm crazy. Someone else can be, like, a little bit crazy. Like, my ex-wife certainly has a little bit of crazy. Like, that it fit, right? Like, it fit. Some people say it didn't fit, obviously, being that we're exes, but I say it did. And then there's the mutual shared experiences, which I think is important to me. Again, so I need somebody within my age range, which conflicts with the fact that I'd like to have a child as I get older, right? And I know I'm a guy. I can have a baby whenever, as guys do, but like the woman that I want to be with, can she have a kid? You know, because like I want to be a parent. Like I don't know. There was this cute little kid the other day at the COVID testing site, and I had no idea how old this kid was. No idea, right? I was like, how old is your child? As this toddler toddled down the street.
Yes,
that kid could have been 8 months to 4 years old. I had no idea. Now, apparently the mom said the kid was really big for her age. 16 months, 18 months. Yeah, 18 months, I think. This was a child running down the street, 18 months old. I had no idea. You could have told me the kid was 3, and I wouldn't have known, you know? Then, hilariously, the mom, super funny lady, was like, do you want an apple to the little girl? And the little girl was like, yeah. And the mom pulled out a little apple, like a cutie-sized apple, and gave it to her. And the person next to me was like, what a little apple. And I was like, well, it's for a little person. So it makes it, like, she couldn't hold a big apple. Like, it made sense to me. So, like, I don't know. I don't know how to date. Do you have any advice?
On dating? No, I don't. Don't be you. I'm. Let me think about it.
So not really.
No, not really.
Sorry. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know, Suze. I'd like to date, but I don't know how, you know? And I know there's books and stuff, but there's nothing telling me, like, those are for general, like, oh, like, you got broken up with and now you're scared to get back out there. But nothing's like, oh, you got broken up with, you're still in love with your ex, you're financially ruined, you're suicidal, you have OCD, and you spend too much time with Suzette Veneti. Here's how you get back out there. And like, how? Like,
I'm pretty
if
great.
somebody wrote that book, then I would read it, you know? But, like, reading the other books, I don't think it's going to help because it's not going to help my situation. So if you could make a show about dating, I would watch it very much, actually. Okay, well,
Oh, yeah,
you
maybe.
should make that
Maybe.
show.
Okay.
In the meantime, country be crazy, stay safe, yeah, I hope 2021's better for everyone. Your hair, it's better for your hair so far.
thank
I'm
you.
noticing.
Liz.
So mad props to Liz.
Yeah.
Because this isn't you. This is all Liz.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
well done, Liz. Right on. Okay. Well, thanks for the time, Suzette.
Welcome.
Always good to see you, and I'll talk to you later.
You too. David Shapiro. His information was below him, getting his personal therapy time in on his segment, apparently. That is the show. Thank you to Jesse at Stab. Thank you to WooWoo Monroe. Thank you to Clifton. Thank you to Chelsea. Thank you to Apple, Taryn, and Helen for asking good questions. We will be back next week at 5:03 on the 31st with Ngayo Bilam. Make sure you're here. Another good show for you guys. Thanks for watching.
The city's your playground. I watch you take a bite. At 5 a.m. roaming the streets, drunk all night. You think you're hot shit, and ooh, I love it.